Welcome to the Business Miracles Podcast. I'm Heather Dominick, founder of businessmiracles.com and author of the book Different, the Highly Sensitive Leadership Revolution, found at differentthebook.com. Since 2010, I've been training highly sensitive entrepreneurs and leaders from around the globe to work less while making more impact and income by doing things differently. I'm so glad you joined me. Listen in and get ready. Get ready for a shift in the way you view yourself, your work, your life. A business miracle. In part 3 of this 3-part episode series, I'm talking about what's really needed for you to rise above the fray of frenetic post-pandemic disconnect. I'm also going to share with you valuable tools and techniques that will help you remain grounded as well as fiercely focused, so that you can operate optimally financially, relationally, and spiritually as a highly sensitive entrepreneur and leader. Let's dive in together. I was recently taking a walk with a friend, and she said a phrase that really struck me. She said, "We are in a frenetic time." And that really struck me because over the past 3 years, there's been so much talk here as a Business Miracles community about being in exceptional times. And I appreciated the phrase frenetic time as a description of this particular phase of these exceptional times. The way that I've thought about it since she said that phrase is pre-pandemic, as a global community, as a global culture, many ways we were asleep at the wheel, very complacent. We were forced into exceptional times, which really woke people up in many ways, individually, collectively, and now that sleeper disconnect of pre-pandemic has shifted into this frenetic disconnect of post-pandemic. We have focused on not buying into the fray of these frenetic times, but instead to be able to remain grounded, to be able to remain fiercely focused, and to support us, again, in operating optimally as highly sensitives, financially, relationally, and spiritually. A brief recap of Happiness Advantage, Part 1 and Part 2. The Happiness Advantage is a psychology theory that draws a connection between personal happiness and professional success. This idea proposes that the happier people are, the more successful they'll be. We particularly looked at the drama triangle and the empowerment triangle. We talked about the Tetris effect. The Tetris effect, according to the research of the Happiness Advantage, states that if you view the world through the same pattern for too long, your brain keeps that pattern even if it's not working for you. It's an opportunity here and now as part of our weekly training roundtables to check in. Am I stuck in a pattern of persecutor? I blame you. I feel shame. Are you stuck in a pattern of rescuer? I am obligated. I am stuck in resentment. Are you caught in a pattern of victimhood? I can't. Committed to the story of stuck and feeling guilty about it. We also then spoke about the empowerment triangle and how the drama triangle shifts into the empowerment triangle if you choose. We specifically spoke about the challenger as part of the empowerment triangle. A reminder that the challenger is the positive alternative to the persecutor. In relationships to others, a challenger consciously builds others up. Write that down. A challenger consciously builds others up, encouraging them to also learn and grow despite difficult situations. Challengers are catalysts catalysts for learning, and are willing to stand for the vision even when others do not. Write that down. Willing to stand for the vision even when others do not. Rather than criticizing or blaming, a challenger inspires others to reach for the highest good of all involved. And a challenger is willing to shake things up and go to the heart of the matter. Challengers are sometimes called the truth tellers in service to outcomes and the co-creators with whom they interact. As highly sensitive entrepreneurs, as highly sensitive leaders, we are called into this space of challenger for others and challenger for self. So according to the happiness advantage, our challenges are our key to happiness. What? Let's write that down. Our challenges are our key to happiness. The happiness advantage research shows that just a small amount of gratitude expressed consistently and differently will move a person who scores in the lowest percentile of pessimism, like the most pessimistic you could possibly be. Just engaging in a gratitude expression daily for 21 days will move that ultimately pessimistic person into the lowest percentile of optimism. We then looked at Happiness Advantage Part 2, where we really tuned into the key concept from Happiness Advantage research that happiness is a team sport. Write that down. And again, 2 significant happiness tools to support showing up in a space of happiness as a team sport. Gratitude, consistently, differently, specifically. We connected that to the Business Miracles tool of daily 5 yays. We also spoke about the power of journaling. Journaling that creates sufficient cognitive diffusion. Cognitive diffusion, write that phrase down. Cognitive diffusion, which means looking at thoughts rather than being in them. To create the separation needed to accept our feelings and commit to the changes we need to make. You often hear me say to feel our feelings without becoming them. Cognitive diffusion. Using energy management tools as taught in your orientation trainings of scripting, the belief transformation tool, auto writing, and the order form to the universe. No surprise, I'm going to share the definition of spiritual with you. The definition of spiritual, relating to or affecting the human spirit or soul, as opposed to material or physical things. And I'll share that again. The definition of spiritual, relating to or affecting the human spirit or soul, as opposed to material or physical things. As highly sensitive entrepreneurs and leaders, one of the top 12 strengths that I have identified that we possess is the strength of being deeply spiritual by nature. Write that down. We hold the strength of being deeply spiritual by nature. Early on in my work in service to highly sensitive entrepreneurs, I connected with a member of Dr. Elaine Aron's team, and we had a very interesting conversation about this. Her hypothesis, as from Dr. Aron's work, was that highly sensitives were not deeply spiritual by nature, but they turned to spirituality as a form of soothing. I countered that by saying if a highly sensitive commits to training their nervous system to operate optimally, they are able to tap into the power of spirit, according to the definition that I just shared. in service to being that challenger for themselves and others. So you can choose to use being spiritual as a way to isolate and soothe, or you can choose to accelerate positive change by joining forces with like minds. Joining forces with like minds. Early on in my studies of thought leadership, a quote by Louise Hay has always stayed with me. She said, "What you think is who you are like-minded with. Do you beat yourself up, or do you build yourself up?" We are going to put the happiness advantage, part 3, spiritual, into motion together as a community core practice in order to build ourselves up as a community of highly sensitive entrepreneurs and leaders, choosing to accelerate positive change by joining force with like minds. We are going to put this into practice as a way of accepting the challenge. As you may have heard me say, everyone wants transformation, but no one wants to do the work to change. What I'm going to share with you is a full community, spiritual by nature challenge. A full community happiness advantage, part 3, spiritual challenge. This is an invitation, not an obligation. Write that down. An invitation, not an obligation. You can use as you choose. Here's how we are going to do this. For the next 30 days, we are each going to take steps every day in order to support spiritual enhancement, to dive deeper into the breadth and the depth and meaning of the human spirit and soul, yours and others. Again, to rise each other up through this frenetic time as a way to be above the fray and to accept the challenge. You will take 2 minutes each day to first recall a meaningful experience in your life. Could be absolutely anything. You'll just sit down, you'll close your eyes, and you'll ask, show me a meaningful experience in my life. Maybe it was like the best, juiciest apple you ever ate in 2010. Maybe it's a moment with a puppy from when you were a child. Maybe it's the fact that you found a dollar form of money on the street the other day, whatever it might be, a meaningful experience in your life. Then you will jot down 3 details from the day, whatever those details are. And that's all you need to do. You will take 2 minutes of meditation per day, which is simply about breathing in and out. And whatever happens in those 2 minutes, there's no right, there's no wrong, there's no judgment. But you'll set an alarm, 2 minutes, eyes closed, focusing on breath in and breath out. 2 minutes of connection per day to write a 2-sentence positive text or email per day to someone in your life. It has to be a different and new person each day. Now, if you're like me and your relational circle tends to be quite small, you could think possibly, oh my gosh, I don't even know 30 people. If you've had mixed feelings about social media and wondered how you could possibly use social media differently, this would be a beautiful way. Who are you actually connected to on social media? Can you choose one person each day and send a positive private message, challenger, lifting them up? Again, a community-wide challenge to rise above the fray, entering into a space of like-mindedness. Do you choose to beat yourself up or build yourself up? A 30-day practice, a 30-day challenge, use as you choose. An invitation, not an obligation. An invitation, not an obligation. Use as you choose. Been an opportunity to connect into our shared strength of being spiritual by nature and using that as a way to challenge self and each other to rise up, to stay above the fray, more easily create, access miracles as a result.
Thank you for being a part of this Business Miracles podcast episode and for beginning to dip your toe into the journey of highly sensitive leadership training. If you are ready to truly use your sensitivities as strengths in all parts of your work and life, I invite you to connect for a one-on-one chat. You will experience being deeply listened to, and together we'll get a sense of whether the highly sensitive leadership training programs are the best next step for you and your highly sensitive journey at this time. Just go to www.claritycall.com to schedule a conversation. We so look forward to connecting with you. Talk to you soon.